Kings 4, chapter 1, verse 1 to 7. A certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditor is coming to take my sons to be slaves." So Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" And she said, "Your maid servant had nothing in the house but a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few. And when you have come in, you shall shut the door behind you and your sons. Then you pour it into all those vessels and set aside the full ones." So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured it out. Now it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said to her sons, "Bring me another vessel." And he said to her, "There is not another vessel." So the oil ceased. Then she came and told the man of God. And he said, "Go pay your debts. Go pay your rent. Go pay your mortgage. Go pay your student loan. Go pay all your debts. And you and your sons live on the rest." That's not what the Bible is saying, but this is the reality of what was happening. My brothers and sisters in Christ, all of us have found ourselves between the devil and the deep blue sea, between a rock and a hard place. All of us, you can find ourselves in a difficult or bad situation. Life is a way of coming at you fast, and life is a way of putting you in a difficult situation or bad situation. Let me give you some statistics in this view according to Gingerbread 2018. Now I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, our topic today is Fill My Cup, O Lord. According to Gingerbread 2018, children in single-parent families are twice at risk of living in relative poverty than those in couple families. This is the reality of how we live. We're going to apply the Bible those years and these days. And I didn't know that the deaths, they used to bother people those years. And the deaths, they are bothering us in our lives at present. Children are more at risk of poverty, where a single parent works part-time overall. A third, or maybe 33% of children with a working single parent live in poverty. 20% of single parent households were in persistent poverty in 2018, compared with 5% of couple households. Single parent households have been the hardest hit household types by tax and benefits reforms since 2010. 74% of single parent households have financial liabilities. Although average debt is smaller than couples with children, single parents are nearly twice as likely to feel this debt is heavy burden. So this is a bad situation which has happened to this lady. For me, I can say, have you ever tripped, or have you ever felt like you were at the end of your rope? What do you do when you reach that point? For me, I was working the other time with this company, and it happened like around 4. This lift, I think is this kind of old lifts, 2 care assistants and 2 residents. They were coming from upstairs and they were trapped in the lift. And I was the only nurse who was in charge. And I didn't know what to do. And they were stuck in the lift for a good few minutes. And I had to go and search. I'm working with agents. To search the numbers, I don't know. I tried to cut hold of the director. And I couldn't reach him. I tried to catch the handman and couldn't reach him. Until I just went to the lift to see the numbers. Then I found those numbers. And 2 men came and they said, they fixed, and they said, if you were late maybe 20 minutes, this lift is kind of lift which you can see is transparent. You can see when it is going up and down. And he said, if you were late 20 minutes, this lift was going to come down and just squash these people. So when these people were out of the lift, they were like sweating. They were feeling tired. So this is a bad situation which happened to this care home. So I'm just saying today, have you ever felt trapped, like you are in a really bad situation? So we can see the widow in a really bad situation, in a difficult situation. I can say the realist would say just tie your knot and hang on. The pessimist would say you might as well let go. It's only going to get worse. The optimist might say just tie another knot and keep on climbing. When the situation, when this tough gets going tough, I don't know what we will do if a bad situation happened to you. Each of those has its merit, but in reality, what you can do somewhere in that very bad place today, in a very bad situation today, you are at the end of your rope, and there is a long drop beneath you, and you do not know what to do. What do you do when you are facing problems with your children that you cannot solve? What do you do when your marriage is on the rocks and crashing waves of hopelessness and unrelenting? What do you do when there are problems at work and it seemed there is no way out? What are you going to do? What do you do when you have too much month left at the end of your salary? What do you do when you have followed a loved one, brought him to the grave, and you cannot escape the loneliness, the grief, and the pain? What do you do when your heart is broken? Your dreams are shattered, and your hopes have been dashed to bits on the cruel rocks of reality. What do you do when you are walking through a spiritual wasteland and there seems to be no way out? Charles Swindoll says life consists of 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. While you cannot control the 10%, you still got the 90% you can control. The fact of the matter is, in sometimes, we have to make the best out of a difficult situation. And really, that is what our Bible text is telling us today. Fill my cup, O Lord. The text introduces us to a woman who finds herself between the devil and the deep sea, blue sea. Our Bible text introduces us to a woman who finds herself between a rock and a hard place. Our biblical text introduces us to a woman who knows how to make something out of nothing. Look at this woman's predicament. Look at her situation. Look at her circumstances. And maybe you can glean some principles of how she made the best out of a bad situation. The Bible tells us she's married to one of the sons of a prophet. It means that he is in college, about to become a pastor. but he's not there yet. Perhaps he's at Newport, he's in seminary, son of a prophet, and he is not a prophet yet. In other words, he does not have his licensing, or he has not yet been ordained. He is simply studying to be a preacher. That's good news. That means she's married to a good man. I know today it's an International Women's Day. But anyway, we ought to thank God of the good men among us.
Amen.
There are great men in the house who work hard every day to bring food on the table. Good men work tireless, serving the Lord. He is taking care of his family. He is handling business. The woman we ought to shout out to men who are taking care of the family. The Bible tells us he is in college, or he is in seminary. He is working to become a prophet. But before he graduates, before he gets out of seminary, death comes by and snatches the life out of him. He is on his way to ministry, but before he gets out of seminary and sets foot in his first church, he experiences death. That teaches me and you a wonderful principle, and that bad things do happen to good people. Just because you attend church and you are baptized doesn't mean that bad things doesn't happen to you. He is a good man, but something bad happened to him. Bad things happen to good people. You can be a good Christian and do everything that is good and still lose your job. You can be a living life health style, eating well, be a vegan, vegetarian, exercising, and still end up sick. You can read your Bible 365 days a week. 55 days. But bad things can still happen. She is married, but the good man dies, which means there is no a provider or a protector. Remember, in the Old Testament, the husband is a provider and a protector to the wife. There is a provider for her. There is no protector for her. She is in really bad situation. But to make matters worse, not only he is dead, but he left debts with some bills. He leaves behind some debts, not because he's a bad man, but he believes that when he finishes college, he was going to get some work and going to pay the bills. But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. Death snatches out life in him, and he dies. The creditor has sent a letter in the mail saying that they are on their way to take sons into slavery. All of us have experienced debtors, creditors, calling us on our phones. Usually when I hear ringing 0800, I can just switch off because it's credits and they make your head like you don't know what you're doing. The creditors, they don't really understand your situation. They don't know that you've just lost somebody or you don't have a job. They still want their money. If they say 7 days or 14 days, they really make it. They really want it. And if the letter is coming, it's now coming in red. And you become unsettled because they are coming. If it is red, they are now threatening you. They want to close the house, or they are taking you to court. So this is the bad situation which came to this woman. I can understand the debts and I can really understand them, and I think You can understand the dates and you know what I'm talking about. All of us know some insecure, insensitive creditor who sends us an email, informs us that we don't, or if we don't pay our loan or our mortgage, if we don't pay our insurance, we don't pay our tax, and don't even think that your car, when it is parked there, or you want to try to move about with your car, the police are on your throat as well. They are checking to see if you have paid your insurance. If they are coming, they get all our stuff. Just imagine how this woman is feeling. They are feeling they are not coming to get the stuff. This time, they are coming to get their sons. During those years, they used to take the sons for slavery. They work for that death. So this woman is really in a difficult situation because they are threatening, they are coming to take her only 2 sons. You can get my stuff, but not my sons. If you get my stuff, I can get some more stuff. But if you get my daughters, my sons, what am I going to do? For me, I've got only 3 daughters. If you take my 3 daughters, what am I going to do? I can't produce some more. And this woman can produce some more sons. You get to put value in the right place. My value is not my stuff. My value is not my family. My value is in myself. If I lose, I have no strength to start all over again. Is there anybody here who says I can lose stuff, but if I have got the Lord, I have the strength. If I have got the Lord, I have the joy. If I have the Lord, He can give me more stuff. Because stuff doesn't make me, I can make stuff. Is there anybody who can say, neighbor, if I lose all, and I got the King Jesus, I got more than enough. She goes to the man of God and explains the situation. And the man of God gives her a plan of action. She implements that. At the end of it, she has an oil business. We saw her. She was going to sell the oil. And the oil, when it was poured, it never ceased. It continued to pour. She had planned than enough. She's now an entrepreneur. She got an oil business. She goes to the man of God, and the man of God gives her a plan. She says, go sell oil, pay your debts, pay your rent, pay your student loan, go for holiday. Don't miss this. He says, sell your oil, pay your tithe. You all miss this. Pay your tithe, pay your mortgage, pay your insurance, car insurance, pay your student loans, pay all your bills, and the rest with your family. God is going to bless you that you will get more than enough to take a pension. What did Elisha say to the woman that makes her move from having nothing to have just enough, to have more than enough? How does she make the best out of a bad situation? I'm glad you asked that question, because our text this morning give us the details. A couple of things the woman did to make the best out of a bad situation. First and foremost, The text tells us and teaches us that if you are going to make the best out of a bad situation or a difficult situation, fill my cup, O Lord. You must properly evaluate your present situation. The woman had two situations. On one hand, her husband is dead. On the other hand, the creditors are on their way to take her sons into slavery. Don't miss this. How many situations she had? She has got two situations. On one hand, she had got a situation that cannot be changed. The loss of her husband. On the other hand, she has a situation that is, with the help of the Lord, can be salvaged. On the other hand, she got a situation that cannot change. She loves him, but he is no more. He was a good man, but he can no longer take care of the situation. On the other hand, the creditors are on their way to take her sons into slavery, but they are not yet there. They are on their way, but they are not yet there. They are only threatening. Maybe they've given her maybe days to say on such day we are coming. They are on their way. On the other hand, she got a situation she cannot change. But on the other hand, she got a situation she got power to change and listen, only to listen to what Elisha has been saying. If you are going to make the best out of a bad situation, you have to properly evaluate your situation. You have got to spend time and resources and energy. And if it's dead, the only thing you can do is just to bury the dead thing. Don't waste the time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your power on doing anything that you cannot change. That's why your mother taught you this prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Can we do together? The encourage to change things I can. This is familiar. We always do see this in people's houses. And wisdom to know the difference. Life is too short, and your time is too important, and your resources are too few for you to spend all your energy on stuff and circumstances that you cannot change. You got to properly evaluate your present situation. If you are to make the best out of a bad situation, fill my cup, Lord. You cannot be afraid to ask for help. She knows she's in a bad situation. And she goes to the man of God. She says, my husband, your prophet is dead. The creditors are on their way. To take my sons into slavery. Can you help? Prophet Elisha. And look what the man of God does. He flips the script on her, and he says, before I help you out, are you willing to bail yourself out of your situation? He said, what if I got into your house? What have you got in your house? What is it you have in your possession? What kind of talent? What kind of skills? What kind of ability? Look at the woman saying, I've got nothing. That's what she said. I've got nothing. But she doesn't realize she's got something in the house. I have not much but a jar of oil. You always have a little that you can use. You don't have a full-time job, but you got something. You might not have jam, but you've got peanut butter. You may not have a Mercedes-Benz, but thank God for your Corsa. You may not have a mansion, but you've got a shelter and a roof above you. You may not have all what you want, but you have all you need. You've got clothes on your body. You have got a roof above your head. You have got shoes on your feet. You have got food on your table. You always got something. You always got something. I always, and my husband will always, don't you have anything in the house to eat? And I said, there's nothing. There's nothing. You don't have anything in the house. If I come in your cupboard, you don't have anything. And I always say, no, we don't have food. But you go in the cupboard, there is dried beans. There is tinned tomatoes. But I'm saying there's nothing in my house. My husband is saying, no, you are saying you don't have food. But there's food in your house. I always say, and my husband used to phone me when he was in England, you don't have food, go in your cupboard. And I don't have food. So this woman, when she was asking, I don't have anything. There is always something left over. You may not have $1 million into your account, but you got enough, just enough. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to kneel down and pray to God. But you got to do logical. And my sister Rachel will continue further.
Amen.